The long saga is officially over. Erik ten Hag stays at Manchester United next season. Currently, Omar Barada, the CEO appointed by INEOS, will not start working until July 16th. Dan Ashworth is on gardening leave until United pay his compensation fee to Newcastle, slowing down their process. INEOS Sports CEO Jean-Claude Blanc is the interim CEO, while technical director Jason Wilcox is filling into the sport director role. But who are INEOS? INEOS, founded in 1998 by Sir Jim Ratcliffe, is the fourth largest chemical company in the world. They have invested in many different sports, including football, running, rugby, cycling, sailing, and Formula One. INEOS is currently the owner of Nice, Lausanne Sport in Switzerland, and now minority owner of Manchester United. Although they had major success in other sports, we are going to look into their football teams before they arrived at United. In the years before the takeover, Lausanne had been a yo-yo team between the top and second division in Switzerland. They were never able to cement themselves as a regular first division side. The club was relegated into the second tier in the first year INEOS was in charge, and it took them 2 seasons to be back in the first division. 2 years later, in the summer of 2019, INEOS purchased French team Nice. Much like Manchester United, Sir Jim Ratcliffe has promised their fans that Nice will compete in European club competitions on a regular basis. Before their arrival, Nice were considered the best-run club in France in the 2016 and 2017 season, when they challenged for the title, but after that, they didn't end up performing, mostly finishing in the 9th or 7th position. INEOS immediately made some changes in the front office. Bob Ratcliffe, Sir Jim's brother, was appointed as CEO of the club, while Julien Fournier, the former CEO, has been demoted to the director of football position. The fans were optimistic, and their reaction was mostly positive, as Ratcliffe ensured Nice fans that they have nothing to worry about, as they learned some of their mistake from their previous club. In their first 10 games, Nice has managed to only win 1 game, but ended up finishing their season 5th, 2 places higher than their previous year. Overall, Nice results under INEOS were massively inconsistent, much like Manchester United. They do well in one season, followed with chaos the season after next. So what signing do they made when they first arrived to the club? They spent roughly about 50 million euros on 5 players: Kasper Dolberg, Alexis Claus-Maurice, Stanley, Thuram, and Boudaoui. The most successful one will end up being Thuram, as he plays a vital role in that midfield alongside Todibo now. But the consistent staff and players changes has impacted what was happening on the pitch. They had 7 different managers in 5 years. This summer they appointed Frank Hayes, making him the 8th manager under INEOS. This infuriated some players, which led Dante, Nice captain, criticizing INEOS ownership. "I think at some point you have to be clear in what you're saying," he began. "To maintain a project, maybe you need to speak less about objectives and work in silence to create an environment of competitors, because the expectation is even bigger, and then after, people are frustrated. Do you remember how many players came in at the end of the transfer window last summer? 6 left, 6 arrived. It's difficult in these conditions. Simply, we must not make the same errors." This comes after the Sir Dave Brailsford audit. Brailsford arrived in spring of 2022 to find out what was going wrong at the club. He concluded that Julien Fournier, the director of football, was in charge of all department, which led to the question, what was Bob Ratcliffe doing? The audit dragged on, and combined with a spectacular falling out between Galtier, Nice manager, and Fournier, the club wasted weeks of valuable time in the transfer market and were left scrambling. It led to the sacking of Bob Ratcliffe and Julien Fournier. Christophe Galtier was about to be fired as well, if it wasn't for PSG. Galtier had been openly critical of the club's recruitment before he left, and was apparently concerned about INEOS's commitment and the caliber of people making transfer decisions. The manager had reportedly lost faith in INEOS before leaving. Lucien Favre was brought in as manager, and the former Crystal Palace and Cardiff City director Ian Moody was enlisted to help with the recruitment, as the role of the CEO and director of football remained vacant. None of Moody's signings that year from England, like Ross Barkley, Aaron Ramsey, Arsenal loanee Nicolas Pepe and Kasper Schmeichel have met expectations. Criticism of the audit started to make noise among the fans. Why did it take months without hiring the CEO or the director of football during the transfer window? Nice president Jean-Pierre River said the candidates that they wanted weren't available at the time and that they will take their time to hire the best people for the future of the club. Nice then hired a new CEO, Fabrice Bouquet, and Florent Gisolfi, who was known for the success for RC Lens. They have now a new structure in place that most fans criticized them for. Looks like Brailsford's audit has taught INEOS a valuable lesson. They are now hands-off as they allowing football people making football decisions. Already at Manchester United, they have appointed Jason Wilcox as technical director, Omar Barada as the CEO. The only hiccup they face currently is the director of football position, as Newcastle are trying to slow their process by dragging Dan Ashworth's gardening leave, unless United overpay the compensation fee.